You're listening to That's When I Became a Metalhead. I'm your host, Kyle Harcott. Join me as I talk to my favorite metalheads to discuss their lifelong journeys into metal fandom and how we found this music that gave us power and shaped our lives.
When I was a kid, I fell out of the second floor window.
Good evening, and thanks for tuning into That's When I Became a Metalhead. I'm your host, Kyle Harcott. My guest tonight is my dear friend, the Reverend J.R. Preston, former guitarist in Illinois and Thunder black metalist Blood Cult, current guitarist in Lord of Depression, and mastermind behind the projects Tjolgtjar and Xexyz. JR and I have been communicating since 2010 when I reviewed his band Blood Cult's album Cult of the Plains for Hellbound.ca. I had never before heard anyone attempt to fuse black metal with Ted Nugent riffs, and not only that, but do it well. It really blew my mind, and to this day I consider JR one of the best guitarists I know. Reverend Preston contacted me shortly after my review was published in 2010, and we've been talking ever since and have become good friends in the years since. When I decided to do this interview series as a podcast, JR was one of the first guys I knew I wanted to have on as a guest. JR, thank you for being on That's When I Became a Metalhead. Welcome to the show, and please introduce yourself.
Hi, I like to take long walks, and I like dinners at sunset, and candles.
Yeah, candles, of course. That's really sweet, actually.
Okay.
What are your turn-ons, JR?
If you only knew.
All right, then should we just dive into it?
Yeah.
When was the first time you consciously remember hearing a metal record?
Consciously. I want to say, when did Come On Feel the Noise by Quiet Riot come out?
I want to say 1983.
Probably then. Because Twisted Sister was around the same time, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So it was one of those two, and it was my sister's.
Okay. And do you remember sort of where you were at the time when you heard it and how you sort of reacted?
Well, two stories for each one. I remember seeing Twisted Sister on a TV where my sister was hanging out with her friends, and We're Not Gonna Take It was on the TV. Mm-hmm. So I thought that was really intriguing, the way they looked and everything. And then Come On Feel the Noise was my sister had the single, and my friend and I were listening to it. It was kind of a hit at the time, a mild radio hit, and we were listening to it, and he convinced me that it said "girls fuck the boys." Can I say that on here?
Yeah, please.
Okay. He convinced me it said "girls fuck the boys," so we sang that over and over to it. "Girls fuck the boys," and my mom caught us, and I had to ask her what fuck was. I didn't even know. It was the 80s, I didn't. I bet today all 7-year-olds know what fuck is, yeah. But I had no idea. So, yeah, that's. I mean, if you're not talking about rock and roll and you're talking about metal, then yeah, that's conscious. My first conscious memory of an actual metal song or record.
So you're 83. You're 7 years old.
Yeah, 6 or 7.
Yeah. Do you remember feelings of this music being something than you were used to, unlike, say, normal music up to that point? Like, how did you react to it?
Oh, it was exciting. It was well, I grew up on rock and roll, so it was a louder, more exciting version. I knew that older girls were into it, mm-hmm. So that really got me going. I think that was the biggest thing, really. I knew that all of my sister's friends were into it, and it was like, wow, if I get into this, then I can score older girls.
which is probably how most of us sort of got to it.
I think so.
I mean, if everyone's really being honest, right?
Right.
Now, you brought up your older sister. Did she have a big guiding hand in you getting into a lot of this music?
No.
Or another family member?
No, my sister didn't even want me in her room. But when she was gone, I would go through her tape collection and her records. And I mean, she didn't just have metal; she had everything. But I was really drawn to the metal, the covers, and like I remember Quiet Riot's cover and Twisted Sisters with him holding the bone.
Oh yeah,
that was insane. And there was other stuff in there. Kiss, the '80s Kiss records. Those covers grabbed me too for some reason because they weren't that good. But and Wasp, Rat.
Oh yes.
Now,
something you and I have talked about quite a bit, and we have quite a lot in common, is we were both Kiss fans from a very, very early age. How old were you when you discovered Kiss?
Well, I knew Kiss when I was really little because they were still everywhere. Like if you went to the mall, Kiss was plastered over every record store. And at that time, that there were a lot of record stores. So even in a small town where I grew up, you could buy records. But Kiss scared the shit out of me when I was really little.
Yeah.
And Gene Simmons especially, I couldn't handle it. He was too demonic, and his tongue scared me. And my mom would drag me kicking and screaming out of these stores because if I even saw his face on a magazine, I'd run and start screaming and crying. But I was probably 2 years old.
Yeah.
Around whenever the "I Love It Loud" video came out, I saw it on TV
with the zombie eyes and everything.
Yeah, and I was still kind of scared of him because I would have still been a really little kid.
Yeah.
But the zombie eyes freaked me out. But the song, I thought, this is actually a pretty cool song. So, because that song is very catchy for a little kid, and it's
real sing along chorus.
Yeah. So the look still scared me, but the song didn't. So that kind of piqued my interest. And after that, I got into my sister's collection and found Animalize.
Right.
So I would have been like 7, and that's when I really heavily got into them.
That's a great record too.
Yeah, it's a good place for a 7-year-old to start, I think.
Does that have "Burn Bitch Burn" on it?
It sure does.
Attaboy.
And I still love that song.
Oh yeah.
People give that song a lot of shit, but that's a really good song.
People give Kiss, people give 80s Kiss a lot of shit. People give 70s Kiss a lot of shit. But, for me, pretty much up to Animalize, those are all pretty great records. Some more than others, obviously. But
yeah.
I still have a great fondness for those. Everything past Animalize I can sort of forget, but... when do you remember starting to buy your own records? And what was your first metal record, for that matter?
Oh God, that's a good question. I don't even remember. I started buying them when I was mowing yards for money. So I was just thinking about this today. All the records I bought, like Destroyer, and because we were listening to Destroyer in the car today, and I remember going and buying it. God, I couldn't even tell you what the first one is. It would have had to have been somewhere in 87, 88 range. But I got a lot of records that year because I had money.
Right.
I was mowing. So I'd get like $10 a week, and I'd buy a tape. And so I was getting like a tape a week. So I had quite a little collection. I'd probably bring it to it'd probably be Iron Maiden or Anthrax, Seventh Son or State of Euphoria or something.
Okay.
Those would be in the first pile that I bought myself. but I don't remember which one was first.
Okay. What was your first metal concert?
I think it was Kiss.
Yeah.
With Great White.
Oh wow! Which tour would that have been?
Oh, it was 92. So I was 13 or 14.
Okay.
I think. And my friend's mom dropped us off, and it was the Revenge tour.
Yeah. Okay. At what point do you feel like this music became not just a casual interest, but an intrinsic part of your identity for the rest of your life?
At what point? I don't know. When okay. Probably when I knew that all the girls were into it.
Mm-hmm.
So that would have been right at the beginning.
Okay.
Plus, there's also another facet to this. Some of them I thought were girls.
Right.
Twisted Sister I thought were girls.
They looked like chicks.
Yes. I thought Rat were girls, but they were cute.
Yeah.
And I remember thinking that David Lee Roth was a cute girl. So I kind of had a skewered look on it, but I just knew that if the high school girls liked it, it probably was really cool.
Mm-hmm.
And she had the posters and stuff too, so I was seeing, a wasp covered in blood, and I remember she had a Black Sabbath Live Evil, like Rock Mirror.
Okay.
If you remember those.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, all that imagery just turned me on. It was kind of taboo. My mom didn't like it.
These are the rock mirrors we used to get at the carnivals and whatnot, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Okay. Yes. The big winter prizes. I remember those.
Well, they had the little ones that you'd win, like the balloon pop. Yeah. But then I somehow found a stand that had big mirrors.
Oh wow!
And I won Megadeth.
Yeah.
And I brought it home, and I didn't even get it on my wall before I broke it. I was devastated that day because it just fell out of my hands and broke.
Oh no!
Yeah, it was terrible.
I was actually on eBay the other day looking for old Carnival rock mirrors, and they still do quite a booming business on eBay.
Yeah, I know. And do you think they're still making those, or is it really the vintage stuff?
I have no idea. I'm assuming it's the vintage stuff because I haven't been to a carnival in a while, but I don't think you see them very often around there.
No.
Maybe they make Justin Bieber ones now or whatever. I don't know what the kids are into these days.
Oh, who knows? Probably some kind of dubstep mirror or something.
Yeah, exactly. So, you grew up in small towns.
Yeah.
Did you ever encounter a lot of persecution along the way for being a metalhead?
Yeah, because it was satanic.
Right.
And I grew up Catholic, so it wasn't talked about much. Mm-hmm. But my friend invited me to a youth group at his church. And I thought about it for a while. I thought, well, he kind of goaded me into it with free cookies.
Oh, yeah.
And so I went, and it was horrible. They played they wheeled in a TV, like they used to. They wheel in the TV with the cart that has the VCR.
The old audio-visual cart.
Yeah. Yes. And they play this videotape of how metal is bad. And it has everything on it. Everything that I've ever listened to.
Of course.
And this would have been like 88, 89, somewhere around there. Mm-hmm. I was I may have had a Guns N' Roses shirt on, so 89, 90 maybe.
Okay.
I remember people were looking at me like he's got a metal shirt on, so I was already like, oh fuck. And they showed Glenn Danzig and King Diamond and all these guys that I liked, and I liked that they had the dark side,
Of course, that's where all the good stuff was.
But we were always like, me and my friends, we were all into metal, and we always had the same talks. Who's the real devil worshiper?
Right.
And King Diamond was the only one who said in interviews that he was.
Yeah.
So we were always like, King Diamond is the best one because he's actually into it.
Yeah, he's the real deal.
And, and here he was on this videotape, and my friends are sitting there, and they're all. You can see the wheels turning. And my whole life's been observing people, and I don't really like to play a role in changing anyone. I just like to observe and laugh at it. So I'm watching their wheels turn, and of course they're seduced by the cookies.
Those goddamn Christian cookies.
Yeah, they're bad cookies too. But I wonder what they had in them. They weren't Catholic cookies, so I'm sure they didn't have any priest sperm in them. But they may have had the sperm of a pastor or something.
Yeah.
But what was I talking about?
The wheels turning.
Well, what happened was the next day of school we were talking about it, and a couple of our friends were like, I'm not going to listen to metal anymore. And
did you ask them for their tapes?
Huh?
Did you ask them for their tapes then?
I should have. So I remember two of the guys ended up going to that church.
Okay.
And then just based on that, and I went the next week, but I was bound and determined I'm not giving up heavy metal. These people are crazy. They're not satanic. The only one that's satanic is King Diamond. So they ended up going to that church again the next week, and I went with them, and it was a presentation on abortion.
Okay.
And I was out. So nope, not coming back.
Yep, that's enough.
They couldn't give me enough cookies for that abomination. That was like, I even felt like I'm too young to be listening to this. Like, This is not something I need to be hearing. So, and that was that.
Excellent. So that was part of the way that you got pointed in the direction you went eventually. Okay.
Yeah, and it also killed religion for me. I never went back to the Catholic Church either. Right. And I was an altar boy.
Wow.
I was a good little boy that was going to go to hell anyway, because he's Catholic. But I couldn't see. Heavy metal killed religion for me. Period. I think it did for a lot of people.
Changing tack for a bit here. Now we always hear the old saw that hair metal or grunge was responsible for metal's death in the early 90s. Personally, I say that metal went underground, which made it thrive, and honestly, that's where the best shit was happening anyways. What's your take on that?
Same.
Yeah.
I liked to make fun of people who liked grunge because they went from liking Winger to Nirvana. I always found that funny. It's people that follow whatever the fuck was on MTV, and that used to piss me off. Right. But as I got older, I understood it. It's just corporate brainwash bullshit.
Now we've talked about this before, but how did you get introduced to black metal?
Well, really early on, it was probably King Diamond and Merciful Fate, Bathory, but we didn't know it was that was black metal. Right. And people still argue today that Merciful Fate's not black metal. Bullshit. Right. But
Venom too, right? So,
well, to an extent, Venom was one of my favorites, but they sounded like Motorhead really to me. It was like Motorhead with Satan lyrics, but I really liked them. Yeah. I didn't consider them in the same league as Merciful Fate. Venom could play. A lot of people say they couldn't, but they could play, and they were good, but they were not Merciful Fate. No. That really makes me laugh, even thinking of comparing the two bands. There's no comparison. There's actual atmosphere in Merciful Fate records, and it's actually scary. Where Venom was like, ha ha, look, we're having fun, yeah. And I never could see the the thrill of that. Even though I love Venom, it's just not. It's not the same.
Right. There's no real nuance to it.
Right. But the getting into black metal thing. One of my friends, we were listening to Hypocrisy. That was our big band.
Okay.
And Swedish death metal. That's what we were into. But we wanted the most satanic, extreme Swedish death metal we could get, and that was Hypocrisy at the time.
Okay.
So we were heavily into them, and he came to school and was like, "Oh, dude, you got to hear this other band, Dark Throne."
Oh boy.
And I thought, that sounds like a really cool name. So I went to the music store in the mall, and they had Dark Throne Transylvanian Hunger for it was like $11 or $12 because it was an import.
Wow.
And so they gouge you for the. And I still remember how bad I felt because I spent the extra $3. But I listened to it and I thought, wow, it really is totally different and a lot more satanic than anything else I've ever listened to. So that was the beginning of 90s black metal for me.
Mm-hmm. And so from Dark Throne into Mayhem, your Emperor,
all of them.
Yeah.
There were some I liked that people didn't really latch on to though, like Enslaved. Back then, nobody was really digging on them. Everybody was liking Mayhem, Dark Throne, Burzum. I liked Enslaved and why did I lost that? Oh, Psy.
Oh,
Japan.
Yeah, right.
I was, back then we were all smoking pot, so Mayhem was okay, and I really liked them. Dark Throne was a little bit better for weed, but something like Psy was amazing. So, and I used to talk to Mariah a long time ago. And I told him, man, you made the best music for us American stoners. And he was blown away by it because Japan, they don't really have a weed culture, but
right.
He was surprised by that.
Now, what about bands in your area? Who are the big bands where you grew up that sort of led the path?
Where I grew up?
Yeah, your region, I guess.
There was just Impetigo.
Okay.
And maybe Master.
Okay.
But when I was little, there was a band called Rebellion that was from a town like 7 miles away from me, so they were big for me in my childhood.
Oh wow!
But they weren't. They were 80s style metal, and I don't even know if they recorded more than 4 songs, but they were a big influence on me.
I'm gonna have to see if they're on YouTube at all.
Who knows?
Mm-hmm. Have you ever met any of your metal heroes? And if so, what's been the worst and best parts about meeting them?
I always meet a lot of people I don't want to meet.
Mm-hmm.
Like I met Disturbed once. That was fucking terrible. And it was before they had a hit song. Nobody knew who they were.
Yeah.
But drank their beer and I broke the door on their RV on accident. All I did was go out of it.
Yeah.
And I remember the singer, this fucking, I don't even want to get into it. He's a fucking idiot. He yelled, "You broke my door." And then he was yelling to someone else, "He broke the door of the bus." And I thought, this is a fucking RV. It's not a bus. Like, what are you even saying? So I went, after I broke the door, I mean, it came off the hinges. It was pretty funny.
Yeah.
I went outside and, hung out with their roadies. Hung out with the Mexicans.
Because the roadies were the guys you wanted to meet, the guys you wanted to hang out with. Compared to the...
yeah, I don't want to hang out with Disturbed. Here,
Yeah.
Picture this. Okay, the singer of Disturbed, before he's famous, thinking he's famous.
Right.
I got another guy with me. He's a total jack-off, who's the guy who got me on this... he's the guy who got me on this... into their RV anyway.
Yeah.
And and we had some strippers, so that's why we got on.
Okay.
Well, I wanted to meet Danzig because they were opening for Danzig.
They were Disturbed in Danzig?
Yeah, Disturbed, 6 Feet Under, and Danzig.
Holy shit.
Yeah, and it was 6 Feet Under's big album was Warpath at the time, so that's
quite
a long time ago.
I think that's still the only one I can listen to.
I have an affinity for them, but that's a whole nother thing. Let's not get into that.
All right.
I don't want to lose any points here. I have quite a few of their albums, but the picture's painted. Okay, we brought strippers.
Yeah.
And these are not my strippers. One of my friends was dating one.
All right.
And the other one was her friend. My friend decides he's had enough. He's leaving before we even get on the RV. He walks home. So I'm there. Excuse my burp. I drank a lot of beer today. I'm there with this other guy. I think I previously called him a jack-off. I still stand by that. And he's in the bus. Oh, I own a music store. I can get your guys' demo in the store, and will you sign your poster for me and all this stuff? And I'm just like, he did. Okay, first off, he didn't own a music store, right? He's just some fucking idiot. And second, their poster was like a flyer for the concert. But I'm going to get it put in the window of my store, man, all this stuff. And I'm standing there like, oh, what a jack-off. Then he's saying stuff like, let's get the strippers to get naked. And, hey, why don't you make out for these guys, you know?
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah. And then David Draymond is saying, hey, make out. Yeah, make out. He's trying to get these girls to just kiss.
Yeah.
Finally, they kind of touch lips. And he's like, oh, yeah. And the other guy, and one of the girls' husband is there, and he's a swinger type. And my mind's just like, I've had enough. I got to get out of here.
I'm not into this. I got to go.
Yeah, I have got to get the fuck out of here. So that's when I took one of their beers. It was a Bud Light, by the way. They traveled with fucking Bud Light.
Beautiful.
Yeah, and it was in like a little. Not even a cooler. It was so low rent, and I got the Bud Light, and I went out the door, and that's when I caused the horrible accident where I broke the door.
You broke the bus, man.
Yeah, that's what it was, and I couldn't say anything. I was thinking, this is an RV. Like, what is wrong with you? This is a camper. This is not a bus. You're fucked up, dude. And I never thought I would ever hear of them again, but. Years later, they were on TV.
Well, that's awesome. Thank you for confirming that they were douches all along. I appreciate that.
I'm not going to say that the whole band was douches. The guitar guy was really nice to me. I don't know his name, but he was nice to me.
Well, Draymond stole my band's name, so he can fuck off.
Well, he's... what's a PC word I can call him? I don't want to call him a cunt, because that could be... that could be taken a certain way. I don't want to call him a twat. I can't call him pussy. You can't call him all the other names. He was a jerk.
All right, we'll leave it at that. You hear that, Draymond?
You're a jerk.
So, getting into you learning to play guitar and forming bands.
Yeah.
You were a metalhead, I assume, by the time you learned to play guitar.
Yeah, but not just. I was into all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, but when it's the whole chicken and egg concept. So, metal came before you learned to play guitar.
Yeah.
At what point did you start forming bands?
Before I heard Dark Tones, probably 93.
Okay.
Maybe earlier. My first band, the first band I was in, I was 15. I want to say.
Okay. Cover
because
band?
My mom had to drive me to the practices.
Cover band? Original band?
No, it was original, and I remember the drummer had an Iron Maiden poster on the wall, so I thought he was cool.
All right.
It was bad music, though. It was terrible.
Well, all our 15-year-old bands are bad. I'm still making bad music, though, so there you go.
Hey, I was the 15-year-old, and I was like a guitar prodigy for these fucks. They were like 20.
Wow.
And they're living at home, 25-year-old men, And I'm this guitar prodigy to them. I wasn't that good, but I could play like Slayer fast,
Yeah.
So they were like, oh man, you're the greatest. They were like in their 20s, mullets, the whole thing.
Yes.
It's the first time I saw guys smoking pot all day long, and drinking beers in their bedroom, and they had the drummer, I think, was the one whose house we were in, but it was his dad's house, and his dad would always yell at us to turn it down, and it was horrible. I don't know why I even stayed in music after that. It's fucking horrible.
How long were you in that band?
Maybe a year.
Yeah. Did you guys do a lot of gigs, or?
No, none.
Okay.
Didn't even record.
Wow.
The fucking they couldn't figure anything out, and then they didn't like the bass player, and he was my friend. So the drummer called me one day and said, I can't kick you out because you really, I remember the exact words, I can't kick you out because you, and this is how his voice was, I can't kick you out because you really deliver on the guitar.
Yeah.
But your brother on the bass, he ain't no good.
There it is.
And so I was like, well, I'll hang out with him. He was my friend, so I'll just hang out with him instead. That's how that ended.
Oh, man. And so that's 95-ish, 96-ish?
Oh, it'd been earlier.
Okay. Now
I was still in high school.
Okay. When did Blood Cult come along?
Around the time of that breaking up.
Okay.
But that was we were more of a punk band. And really, everybody says the band Zero became Blood Cult, which I kind of added to that, what I would call a myth now, because the first lineup of Blood Cult didn't have anybody from Zero in it.
Okay.
The last lineup, the final lineup that actually got somewhere in music, actually had a mild version of a career that had people from Zero in it.
Okay.
So
Zero was your band before?
Yeah.
Okay. And when did you start doing stuff by yourself under the name of Tjolgtjar?
98.
Okay.
But it was all bad. That wasn't even good until like 2001, 2002. Blood Cult goes back a long way, though. I mean, I have demos that are complete shit. In fact, there's a new Blood Cult album coming out, which people know. If they know anything about me, they know I'm not in Blood Cult anymore. I quit.
Right.
But we have like a retrospective double CD coming out, and it goes back to 96. So
Wow.
people will finally be able to hear a 2-song demo that we had out a long time ago.
Wow. And what label's putting that out?
Barbarian Wrath.
Okay.
It might be under Witch's Brew since they're like tied to each other.
Yeah.
I don't know yet. But yeah.
Excellent. Now, speaking of metal and collecting, what would you say is your most prized metal possession that you'd save in a fire?
Oh, that I'd save in a fire?
Mm-hmm.
None of it. A fire can have it. I don't care.
Yeah.
You think anybody else is going to say something like that?
No, I knew you would, actually.
Fuck it.
Fuck it.
No, I can buy it again.
Yeah, of
it's
course.
always going to be there. What I would save is my guitars.
Yeah, of course.
And I would try to save my computer and all of my backup hard drives from over the years, because they have all my music on it. Yeah. Not other people's music, but I want to save my music.
That's the important thing.
I guess. How important is that even?
Yeah, well, fair enough. So to head back into this.
Yeah. What are you even talking about? I got off of it.
As you get older, do you find that your tastes get more or less extreme, or just more varied?
As I get older, I find that I don't give a shit about any of it. And that I just like what I like. I used to have these opinions, like you have an opinion and you really stick by it, and this band is better than the other band. And I don't think like that anymore. I don't. I'd rather listen to Kiss or something.
Was there a time when you had to have the most extreme stuff?
Yeah, high school. Yeah. But that's what I equate it with. That's high school shit. That's when you get into G.G. Allen, you know?
Yeah.
That's not... You don't do that now. I'm too old for that shit.
See, I can remember a guy in high school telling me, you won't always like this music. You'll get older and you'll mellow out and you'll listen to shit like Barry Manilow and, you know.
Well, no.
Yeah, and I was like, no, not me. Never.
It didn't happen to me either. I mean, I can listen to some Elvis and some Willie Nelson.
No, fair enough.
But I like all kinds of music, man. But primarily, my collection is mostly metal.
Yeah.
So, I don't want to say I don't give a shit about metal. It's been the greatest thing in my life.
Yeah, of course. But,
you know, you got to write it off at some point. It's just what you like.
Yep.
It's entertainment.
Yep. So what do you say it is about this music that inspires such lifelong devotion in people?
Girls. Well, I gotta be honest. I just devoted to it because I saw. I don't want to get into it as much, you know, but when you're going through puberty, you see these high school girls, and you see them get in their car after school, and they got. Let me even get as dumb as possible. They got Bon Jovi blasting out their speakers, but still, it's a you know, a guitar
it's got a
big drums. Yeah. So when that's all I care about, man.
Meat and chips.
I saw the. Yeah, exactly. I knew if I could learn guitar, I could get more girls. And if I had a heavy metal band, I'd get even more girls. Yeah, turns out I only wanted one girl, but
it worked.
That's the way it goes.
Well, man, I think that's all I got. And thank you for doing this. I really appreciate it. I know we've tried this a couple of times before, and this time it's happening. This time we're going for it. We're doing it. So
I hope.
I'm really, really happy you were on, and we'll have another chat like this soon, and we'll talk.
Yeah.
We'll pick a topic and we'll just go for it.
Yeah, I wish I was smarter, dude. I couldn't give you real cool stuff, you know.
This is great.
We should have talked about politics.
Yeah, that'll be the next episode.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. The world needs more of that.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. JR, I can't thank you enough, man. I'll talk to you soon. And thanks for doing this again.
Thank you.
Okay, take care, man.